Ever stop and think about what's actually going on inside your phone, or your drone, or your smartwatch? In this explainer, we are pulling back the curtain on the tiny but incredibly powerful engines that fuel our modern world. There's a hidden hero at work in pretty much everything we own. Okay, let's get right into it.
So seriously, think about it for a second. What's the one piece of tech that has completely revolutionized how our gadgets look, feel, and perform? It's the lithium polymer battery, or what we all call a LiPo. This is the exact technology that allowed our devices to get so thin, so light, and way more powerful than we ever thought possible. So to really get a handle on this tech, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with why LiPo is basically everywhere. Then we'll crack one open to see what's inside, learn how to decode all those numbers on the label, weigh the good with the bad, and we'll wrap up with some safety rules you absolutely need to know.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. How did this one specific type of battery end up becoming the powerhouse behind pretty much all of our favorite gadgets? What's its secret sauce?
Well, it's really a perfect storm of awesome features. First, high energy density. That just means more power in a smaller space. It's literally the magic that makes your smartphone so thin but last all day. They're also incredibly light, which is a total game changer for anything that flies, right? Like drones. And maybe coolest of all, they're flexible, so designers can get really creative and mold them into all sorts of unique shapes for our devices.
And you can see just how much they've taken over. It's not just phones and laptops anymore. LiPo batteries are the absolute lifeblood of the drone and RC hobby world. They power critical, life-saving medical gear, and they're the reason our smartwatches can run for days on end. They are pretty much in everything.
You ready to take a look under the hood? Now we're going to peel back the layers and see what's actually making a LiPo battery tick and what really sets it apart.
Now, okay, what's really important on this slide are the two things that make a LiPo, that polymer electrolyte and the soft pouch film. See, instead of a liquid in a hard metal can, LiPos use this sort of gel-like polymer. That's what lets them be made super thin and even a little bendy. And that soft pouch, it's what makes them so light and easy to form into custom shapes for our devices.
So the single biggest difference between a LiPo and a standard lithium-ion battery really is that stuff inside. A traditional Li-ion uses a liquid, so it has to be sealed up in a rigid metal case. That makes it heavier and bulkier. But because LiPos use that gel, they can live in that soft, lightweight pouch. That's why they're perfect for stuff like wearables and drones where every single gram matters. And if you put a LiPo up against the older tech like the nickel metal hydride batteries you might have in your TV remote, it's not even a contest. It's a total knockout. I mean, just look at that energy density. LiPos pack more than double the power for the same weight. That huge performance jump is exactly why LiPos are the undisputed champions for any modern high-performance gadget.
Okay, let's get practical. It's time to learn how to speak the language of power. All those specs printed right on the battery's label. And trust me, knowing this stuff is super important for picking the right battery and getting the best performance out of your gear.
First up, voltage, measured in, you guessed it, volts. The easiest way to think about this is like water pressure. It's the force or the push of the electricity. A single LiPo cell is usually 3.7 volts. If you see something higher, like 7.4 V, it just means there are two of those cells wired together inside. The number one rule here, always match the battery's voltage to what your device needs.
Next is capacity, measured in milliamp hours or mAh. The fuel tank analogy is perfect here. It's that simple. A higher mAh number just means a bigger fuel tank. It holds more juice, and that means a longer runtime for your device before you need to recharge. That's all there is to it. And finally, we have the C rating. So if capacity is the size of the fuel tank, the C rating is how big the fuel line is. It tells you how fast all that energy can be dumped out at once. For your phone, it's not a big deal. But for a high-performance racing drone, you need a super high C rating to get those huge, instant bursts of power that let it accelerate like a rocket.
All right, we know how to read the specs, but let's talk about the real world. No technology is perfect, right? So to get the full picture, we've got to look at both sides of the coin, the pros and the cons of LiPo batteries. So we've kind of touched on these already, but they're worth repeating. On the plus side, they are super lightweight, you can mold them into almost any shape, they're jam-packed with power, and they can deliver that power in an instant. Plus, they hold their charge really well when you're not using them. It's a winning formula, for sure. But there's always a flip side. That soft pouch that makes them so light and flexible also makes them easier to puncture. They are also really sensitive to being overcharged or drained completely empty, and they generally don't last for as many charge cycles as some other battery types.
These aren't deal breakers, but they do mean we need to treat them with a little bit of knowledge and care.
And this chart right here shows you just how much of a difference you make. How you treat your battery has a direct impact on its health. If you take really good care of it, you could get, 500, maybe even 800 charge cycles. But with poor habits, like leaving it on the charger all night or always letting it die completely, you could literally cut its lifespan by more than half.
And that brings us to our final and honestly our most critical section, safety. When you're dealing with this much energy crammed into such a small package, you have to treat it with respect. The rules we're about to go over are non-negotiable for anyone who uses LiPo batteries.
So let's tackle the big one right away. You've probably seen a picture or heard a story about a swollen, puffy battery. What is actually going on there, and why does it happen?
Okay, so a swelling battery is basically a sign of internal failure. When the battery gets stressed out, maybe from overcharging, getting too hot, or being physically damaged, the chemicals inside can start to break down and release gas. That gas is what causes the pouch to puff up. If you ever see a swollen battery, it is no longer safe. Do not use it. Do not try to charge it. It has become a fire hazard.
So how do you prevent that and keep your batteries happy and safe? It all comes down to following these key rules. Always use a proper, certified LiPo charger. Be gentle with them. Don't puncture them, don't crush them. Like we just said, if it swells, you're done with it. Get rid of it safely. And a really big one, never, ever leave a LiPo charging unattended. It's just not worth the risk.
And that really is the bottom line on safety. The technology itself is sound. When they're designed properly and come from a good manufacturer, LiPo batteries are safe. The real danger almost always comes from one of two things: misuse by the owner or trying to save a few bucks on a cheap, low-quality, uncertified battery.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this thought. We all have this incredible amount of power right in our pockets, in our hands, all day long. Understanding how it works and how to handle it safely isn't just a good idea, it's your responsibility. It's how you protect yourself and your expensive gear. So go out there, be smart about it, and stay safe. Thanks for watching.